Hi, I'm Jeff Gonzalez, president of Trident Concepts, and I'm here with Brownells Daily Defense to talk to you about shooter diagnostics. All right, so what does shooter diagnostics mean? Well, the first question that we want to ask is, why do we miss? So when we're aiming in on a target and we're trying to fire and be as precise as we can, but yet we miss, why did we miss? So over the last 20 years, we've studied a variety of students, thousands of times, firing hundreds of thousands of rounds downrange, and we've developed a system that allows us to apply some corrective strategies to help the shooter improve and actually correct the errors that they are experiencing so that they can achieve that positive experience that we're talking about. So there's a lot of reasons why we miss, and we're going to get into each of the most common reasons for why we miss in later videos. But the first thing we want to talk about is, what does it really mean when we miss? Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to understand the difference between a simple and a complex shooter error. A simple error means that you're just doing one thing wrong. That's pretty easy. Well, it may not be easy to correct, but it's easy to identify. The second is when it's a complex error, which means that it can be more than one shooting error happening at the same time. And that makes it a little bit more difficult to correct, because the reality is that the shooters probably can't take on too much information to try to correct. So we have to tackle the easiest of those complex shooting errors in an effort to try to gain a little bit of momentum to move forward. Now, the shooting errors are going to basically be in one of two conditions. It's either going to be elevation related or it's going to be windage related. Most of the time, windage related is a result of grip and trigger manipulation. Elevation is also a result of trigger manipulation, but also sight management issues. So you can see where all of a sudden the simple to complex can get a little bit challenging. The technique that we teach to remedy these shooter errors is a four-step process, right? Any type of habit that you have, if you were to take your watch off your left wrist and put it on your right wrist, it's going to take some time for you to stop looking at your left wrist before you start looking at your right wrist. But what we have to do in this case, as this example, is we have to identify what we're trying to change. All right, I've moved my watch to my other wrist, so I need to identify where that happened. So as soon as I recognize that I want to look at my watch, I need to identify that my watch is no longer here. So once I move my head, I need to intercept it with a change of direction to look over here at this watch, or I'm sorry, at this wrist. The corrective strategy is what I do to replace the bad behavior, and that means that instead of looking here, I'm going to look here. And then all I need to do to make that my new norm, my new habit, is to repeat that over and over. So we want to identify, intercept, replace, and then repeat. And following this series of steps allows us to show the shooters that they can make these corrections in real time and actually change their shooting habits that were less than ideal to more than competent. So one of the last things that we talk about is, anytime we're trying to work at shooter diagnostics, the best thing that you can do for yourself is slow your shooting speed down. Try to look at each step, so if we think about shooting, there's the action of shooting, but that action is a culmination of several little tasks. The first task at the top, then there's going to be a sub-task below it, and there's going to be micro-tasks below that. And if you can bring your focus in and slow everything down so you can see the micro tasks happening, you're going to be able to make the changes that you need. Because one of the things that I tell students is that you're not going to really be able to change or replace that shooting error until you can see that shooting error. And one of the ways to help shooters see that shooting error is getting them to slow down. All right, so I'm really excited to get into the corrective strategies with you down the road. Until then, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them down below. I'm Jeff Gonzalez. Take care and stay safe.